Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Kathleen Hanagan, and I am your host for Conversations with Co-Creators of a New World. And indeed, we are creating a new world. We've been doing it for a while. It begins in our consciousness and in our hearts. And today I have not only a remarkable human being, but a very, very good friend who is going to share today from her heart what she's been doing to contribute to this new world. I have today my dear friend, Beloved Heart Song. Hello, Beloved.
Hi. Thanks for having me here.
So good to have you. I'm gonna read your bio right now so people know something about you. And by the way, I just want to say that I met Beloved when I had a reading from an astrologer, and I looked on his website and I saw a message from Beloved, and I got in touch with her, and we connected in such a deep way around being mothers, around being like so many ways. And then I invited her to my house, which was at that time a temple, and she did workshops with people. This is what's happening in the new world, and it's been happening a while. So I want to say that. Beloved Heart Song is the director and instructor of the Lao Chi Institute of Energy Healing. She's a published author and musician. In 1995, Beloved took her first workshop on Lao Chi. That launched the beginning of years of profound and life-changing mystical experiences that rocked her world and blessed her life in amazing ways. Beloved immediately began experiencing expanded psychic awareness on many levels, receiving volumes of automatic writing, channeled poetry and music, all delivered through otherworldly yet palpable transmissions of grace. She now assists many to open to new levels of spiritual growth and mastery through her trainings on energetic healing, developing inner guidance and intuition, sacred tantric dance for women, spiritual retreats, and private healing sessions. She has concerts and writings and CDs, and they are totally inspirational. They are transmissions of love, healing, and grace. Oh, so welcome to you. Isn't that beautiful to hear that about yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, it is.
I know. It's like, who are we talking about? It's you. And it's taken a while, and it's taken a lot. And we were talking right before. It's taken a few dark nights of the soul. And we experience and we glean a lot of wisdom from those experiences. So before I start with Beloved, I want to read a small excerpt from my book, which is called Love Seed, the Template for Birthing a New World. That's what we're celebrating. And I call, there's something in the book I call the path of zero, and it's a path of surrender. So this is the excerpt. This path of zero, this movement of letting go, is both the movement of a single moment and the movement of a lifetime. It may be the path you take during an argument, when you drop your end of the rope and breathe into your heart, soften your belly, and begin to listen to the other person. And maybe the path you take when you face the fact that you are no longer fulfilled in your job or your marriage or anything you had previously devised to keep yourself happy. It involves surrendering what you are experiencing and thus are identified with in order to open to something uncertain. It involves conscious suffering that you both experience and witness within the larger context of your life. It involves a kind of spiritual or mystic death, after which you are changed, and life is no longer a dedication to self, but a celebration of life. It involves showing up as who you really are. Sometimes the very thing you have hidden, even from yourself, turns out to be the one precious thing about you that saves your soul. It's the place you refuse to conform and go numb or be nice. When you face and surrender the emotions, especially the deep shame that has hidden this part of you, you begin to experience yourself as enough, and hope rises in the direction of your destiny. And there are so many excerpts from the book that I could have chosen, Beloved, to, for the topic that you're going to share, but that's the one, that piece about surrender. And so I want to ask you, and you did, and it's even in your bio, but people want to know, like, how did you surrender so much that you could start receiving, channelings to be able to create music and do the the healing work that you're doing? Like, what had to happen in you for that to happen?
I had to have a huge wake-up call from spirit to be able to get out of my mental mind and learned habit of controlling my world. And I thought I was on top of life. I thought I knew everything I needed to know to be happy and successful. I was married, had 3 little kids, and this great Leave It to Beaver life. I was on the board at Montessori, and I just thought life was perfect. And I took a workshop in La Ho Chi, the work that I now teach and am the director of the Institute for. And as I got to this work, the very first day I took it and went into a session, I got opened up. And my world was completely changed because I started seeing full-length movies and hearing and getting confirmation on what I was hearing and seeing from the people that I was involved with in the sessions. And so I had no idea how I tapped into all this new information, but I was going into past lives and childhoods of people I'd never met before. And I didn't know if I even believed in past lives at that point. and I'm hearing from their family members and pets who have already transitioned. And I'm thinking, I didn't know if I believed in that either. And then they would say, oh, yes, this is what he said. This is what he did. You're right. Those are the names of my family members. Or, you know, and I had no idea how I tapped into this bigger field of knowledge, but I knew that I had, and it was effortless. And I didn't know how to do it again. And so then every time I did a session, it took me deeper and further into it. And as I kept moving forward, building my matrix with this form of energy work, I became more and more dazzled because I would see and hear and know more. And I started being really psychic and tuned in, not just to myself and what was around me, but to anybody that came into my field. And I wasn't trying to invade their space, and I sure didn't want to invade their space. And God knows I had enough to do in my day, being a mom and wife and board member and all the things I was doing. Yeah. I didn't want to hear everything I was hearing. But I set the intention that only that which was for my highest good and the highest good of the people I was around would come through. And if I was directed to share it, I would share it. And I learned to become more discerning with it. You know, at first it was like, let me tell you what I see. And that doesn't really work for anybody.
You don't want to, no.
Yeah, right. And so I learned to ask permission. I learned to humble myself. I learned to see it as not me doing it, my personality, but to realize that this was a higher level of self and all ourselves working through for the benefit of all the people around me. So it developed over the years. And as I started receiving teaching and writing and answers and direction, it took baby steps. It took time with me. The energy itself took time with me. As I developed and I built my light body, as I changed my diet, you know, I would get directed to change what I ate. And so I went from eating everything to being vegan, you know, I went all these different changes in my life to manage my energy, to up level and lift and lighten myself. I found that the more I did that, the more I could hold higher frequencies. And I started having experiences, you know, like walking past electrical equipment and blowing it. You know, light bulbs would blow and all the electrical stuff in the house wouldn't work around me. And I finally learned how to manage my energy better, what to do to nurture myself, to build it gently. And as I opened up, I started channeling not just automatic writings and poetry, but it started coming through as messages from ascended masters and angels and people's family members and pets who had died. And so as all this grew and I started doing channeling circles and I thought, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, so, you know, I don't want to just be a show, right? You know, or a freak show at that. I really want to integrate this. And I kept asking to be shown. And after years of doing that, I let go of the channeling for groups and for individuals. And I inherited my grandmother's piano, and she had been an opera singer and one of the most beautiful lights of my life. And so as I received her piano, I started receiving music, and the music came through. And then I realized in retrospect that all those years of channeling and all the different ways of channeling really helped me fine-tune my vehicle and my discernment to be able to receive the nuances of music. Yeah. And so, you know, looking back through the years, all the levels of building your ability to listen to and follow and trust guidance, it took a long time. It didn't go from the first day to receiving symphonies. It took years in between of me learning and becoming more discerning. And
staying with it and trusting. Yeah. And that's part of what you wanted to offer people today is, you know, how do you trust spirit in an untrustworthy world? And we do live in as far as what's out there, there's no telling what's true and what isn't true, right?
Right.
And how did you, like that? That's a really important piece to know. Is this my ego? Is this spirit? You know, right. How do you know?
Well, what I was shown and taught right away was that the heart is our instruction manual that we think we never got in this life, but we did.
We did.
We did. And if we will simply retrain ourselves, I mean, maybe a few of us were blessed to have parents that taught us that from the start, but most people have to come to it on their own. And they have learned that self-love is being selfish, and there's a big difference between them. And so coming into a place of greater and greater self-love, you align more and more with the truth of your heart. And what is it that your heart longs for? What would put a smile on your face? Not somebody else's, but yours. And when I look at that, and when I teach my students to develop their intuition and guidance, I always encourage them to make a list of what would make them happy, what would make them smile, at least 50 things, you know, because a lot of people say, I don't know what would make me happy. And so you have to start with what you know you don't want, and work up to what you do. And so even if it's a bath or an ice cream cone or a walk with a friend or just sitting out in the sunshine, whatever it is that lifts your energy, choose all these different things regularly, because the more you learn to give yourself that happiness, that peace, that sweetness in life, the less you can be without it. And you up-level your way of being in the world. And the more you can lift your own joy and be in more and more gratitude for your own choices and your own responsibility for your choices, then you have a lightness of being about you that attracts more of the same. And others are naturally drawn to you. And there's no limit to how high you can raise your vibration. There's no limit to how much love and joy you can hold and gratitude. So no matter how happy we are, we can always go to another level of it. And it's an important piece.
And it's a state of joy and happiness. It's not a temporary condition. And you can still have that underlying state, even if you're going through hard times.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really important, that it's not dependent on out there, you know, that.
This is a great point, because the next big thing is to be informed, right? To be informed by the highest part of yourself, you have to go within. You inquire within. And that's not just asking a question or using a pendulum or picking cards. Those are all tools for guidance. Yet you have to learn how to be with yourself and receive yourself and sit and just be still and listen. The God in you, the spirit, the universal oneness that we are all a part of, speaks infinitely to all of us. Whether we're listening or not is another story. And one of the things that's so important about trusting God or trusting spirit to inform you when you do sit is knowing what you're afraid of beforehand, right? Noticing what your fears are, where you compromise your spirit, and what you're motivated by. Because if you are afraid to quit your job or to leave your spouse, you might not want to listen to that if it came through. So you have to get clear enough within your own being that you don't have to fix it. You just say, okay, I admit it. I'm terrified to leave this relationship because I don't know how I'll survive financially outside of it, or whatever it is that you're compromising your spirit for. And so once you're at least familiar with what motivates you, what holds you back, what you think are your limitations, then you can say, okay, spirit, help me work on this from a higher place. Help me let go of this fear and see what my true source of well-being is, and rest in that. And then you come to a place where you can listen. But again, you want to listen with things that are not so risky when you start experimenting.
When you start, yeah. I mean, if you want to listen right off the bat to whether you should stay in your marriage and you've got a few kids and you don't have a job, then it's very scary. And yet that does happen to people. I call it, and I wrote about this in the book, spiritual emergency. But when you, that's so important to be willing to hear, and you do not need to know how you will do it yet.
That's right. How is none of your business.
None of your business. That is up to spirit. But you are co-creating with spirit, and you are like this, you have to receive the signal. So you have to put up your antenna to receive it and take it in that, this I need to move back to Mount Shasta. That's where you are now. And I know you radiate when you're in Mount Shasta, but you had to go back to do other things. And so it's like big questions about where we live, how we work, who we're with, but we don't need to do it. We just need to let it settle in first and receive the information. And then that powerful magic starts to happen where spirit shows you the way, right?
Yeah. And it comes, it came from me when I was first listening and getting all this information, and I would feel bombarded by it, right? Because I'd hear voices waking me up at night or in the shower or in the car driving, and they'd be teaching me, and I'm like, I can't focus on this right now, So they said, okay, get up every morning at 5:30 before everybody else is up, and you sit and listen. And then they stopped bombarding me. I say they, it was my higher self, but it came through as many different types of beings. And so it was like this whole menagerie. And so it came through at 5:30 in the morning for me every day. And it came through other times too, but I sat in dedicated time. But they would teach me to listen and guidance. And I started going to my sock drawer in the morning, to exercise. I had these several pairs of the same socks, white socks, to go exercise, right? And I'd reach for one and I'd hear, not that one. And then I'd reach for another one, and I hear, not that one, and another one, not that one. I'm like, what does it matter? And they were, it matters, listen. And then I'd reach and they'd go, that one. And that happened to me every day for months. And I would get so frustrated, like I said, what does it matter? And they kept saying, it matters, listen. And I started noticing that in the reaching to the pair that I was directed to take, there would be an alignment physically in my body that was a deep, profound knowing. And I can feel it as I'm saying it now, I'm getting chills. It was that one. And all of my essence aligned with a higher awareness. And I knew it in every fiber of my being, this is correct. Now, did that pair of white socks matter? No, but the learning of how to listen and recognize in my body, what's the true wisdom here, did, because then it branched out from socks to turn left. Don't go that way. Don't take that flight. Go around this way, and all the different things that started forming. And by then I trusted that voice and that knowing in my body, and I would feel the alignment. it developed more then into a misalignment with anything that was not right for me.
Oh,
And
that's
somebody could say to me, well, hey, let's go to Europe in May. And I'd go, no. And they said, why not? I said, I don't know. But I can tell you, I know how it feels in my body, and it's not right for me to go. You know, and so all the ways that I've learned to deal with that, whether it's reaching for a supplement or how many to take, which food is good for me in the moment, which friend to spend time with, what to read, whatever it is I'm doing, I feel that inner direction through my music, through my teaching, through everything that says yes, no, maybe, caution, you know, whatever it is. And so it becomes a barometer in all the energetic fields.
It's it's like low risk learning in the beginning with the socks, but it's really the same thing when it comes to the big decisions. And one of the things that you've said over and over, and it's so true, and so emphasize this in the book, is you have to be in your body to know. It's not a head thing. You have to feel it.
Yeah.
And it is true that women are particularly suited for that kind of information coming in, because for many reasons, whether it be, you know, our monthly cycles, or, you know, birthing babies, or taking care of kids, or whatever, we have to be more in our bodies than our heads. And although many women are in their heads now, and this is so important. And I know that, and I did the Lahu Chi training with you, the first part of it, and how much like that work is about being in the body and feeling the energy inside. Like, and we have right now a very distractible ADD culture of, you know, devices everywhere, and all that. And I know you said 5:30. I did the same thing. That I would get up. It was dark. It was always dark when I got up. When the kids were young, and they knew better, and they knew. And I had an office in the basement of the house, and I would go in and light a candle and meditate and listen. And the flickering of the candle they would see it underneath the door. And about halfway through, one or the other of them, sometimes all three, would come down. And they knew that, you know, my message to them was, unless it's a really big emergency, don't knock on that door until I blow the candle out. And so I'd hear, it's not out yet, be quiet. Which was really sweet. And I just incorporated it into my meditation, right? But, and so I say that to a lot of women who have children, and we never want to use our children as the excuse that we don't listen, or that we don't carve out that time for this most important aspect of who you are, whether you're a mother or not obviously when the baby is a month or two old, but when they're a little older, you know, take that time, because it does begin then. You know, I know it did for you, it did for me. I mean,
well, it makes you a better person. It makes you drop in, you learn how to be in the peace. You know, it's like with all the chaos in the world, we can't control anything but our own energy, right? We can choose how to react to something. We can choose how to find our home, our center base within ourselves. And from that place, we emanate whatever it is we reside and abide in, you know. And so to abide in the peace and in the trust and in the faith, even if we're not hearing anything, right? Yet, right? People say, I don't hear. Well, I say yet to that, because you don't know, right? You just have to trust. And for each person, it might be different. You might actually hear it. You might see it. You might just have a feeling or a sense, and you trust the way it comes to you. And in that process, you become informed, because we're all one. We all have that same source. Your children, right? If you're meditating before your children wake up, your children's higher selves are part of that. They're going to inform you too on that level. So the more you commune there, the more you commune with every aspect of life and can access what's for everybody's highest good even more quickly and clearly. So it ends up helping you be a better parent or be a better anything.
Absolutely.
and be more balanced.
And it really, you know, and it doesn't, like, who is on the Supreme Court doesn't really affect your ability to do that.
That's right. And what we give our energy to, right? We can go to, oh my God, doom and gloom, and go right into the drama of all of it. Yes, it may not be the choice we would have made, but the collective consciousness is what is being out pictured in our world right now. So if we don't like what we're seeing, then how do we affect the collective consciousness to be at peace, to be in balance and harmony, and to be respectful and kind and compassionate? Well, you can only do it one person at a time, right? It's like looking in the mirror. You cannot reach into a mirror to change your makeup, right? If you see your face and just like, oh, I've got mascara over here, you can't do anything about it. You keep hitting the mirror, you won't get anywhere. But if you go within and you say, okay, what part of me don't I like right now? What part of the world would I like to affect change in? Then you just go in and you hold that vision. You see it in your heart with joy as already done, and you participate. Yeah, it sounds like a fantasy. It sounds woo-woo. But the truth is, the more you can hold your energy in the alignment of the desired outcome, the more it quickens into the field of the collective, and the more the tipping scale, if there are other people around the planet meditating or holding vision for the same thing, there is a place where it just launches and turns it over and shifts it into a higher octave. So everything we do, every moment that we're peaceful, that we're joyous, that we're grateful, and that we're honoring ourselves and each other, we have just blessed the world with the greatest gift we can give. Our happiness, our hearts, that's the alignment, and our bodies, you know.
It's so true. And this is so much of the message that I've been saying, you know, self, transform the world, right? And there's a really important, and you mention it in what, and several times, there's a really important part of all this, and that is that we have to be willing to surrender certain things that certain beliefs, certain things that we've been doing, right? It could be how we eat or how we play or how we drink or whatever. And it could be our marriage, it could be many things, but surrender and letting go is like the antithesis of our culture right now. It's all about, you know, more and accumulating and,
right,
and all of that. And I know, you know, for many of the speakers and for you and for me, as we start to expand and become more of who we really are, sometimes our marriages don't survive.
Yeah, that's tough guidance.
That's tough guidance.
Tough love.
Then you're strapped with the guilt about the kids, or you should. And I have a lot of women right now who are saying, you know, but I should make it work, or he's a really nice guy, and I should, you know, and any place that we say should, it's not our higher self.
Yeah, I have a friend who always says, "Don't should on me." And the shoulds are a mental resistance, and it's not the truth of the heart. And you know, years ago, I was following my heart because I was learning and being taught this is how you live your life. You follow your heart. You live your joy. You stay true to that. Not to be irresponsible in your life, but to balance that with the responsibility. And then I did that, and I was still having a hard time in a particular arena. And when I asked for guidance on what I was doing wrong, I was taught that yes, you're following your heart, but you're not listening to your body. Your body's wisdom is equally as important as your heart, and then your mind should be in service to the heart and body, not the leader. And so when I listened to my body, I thought, wow, this is really great, because I was realizing in certain situations my gut was clenching, or I'd have a headache, or my energy would drop drastically, you know, around certain people. And I just thought, okay, my heart wants to love everybody. My heart wants to be free and happy. But the truth is, this relationship or this circumstance doesn't serve me. It may have at one time, but it no longer does. So I need to love myself enough to give myself permission to stay true to that. And once I did, I felt such a relief and such a lightness of being, and everything shifted, because we all have free will, right? In this chaos, we still have free will, what to focus on and what to believe. And our beliefs are going to be, it's what we put out on the projector of our lives and what gets played back and out pictured in our lives. And so if we don't like the movie that's playing in front of us, then we have the choice to change it, right? By going within.
We're the star of that movie.
And there's our free will, and that's how we shift it. And the universe says yes to whatever we focus and believe. So if we believe there are no possibilities, there are only limitations, then the universe says, yes, you get to experience that. And if we say, you know what, there are no limitations, I have unlimited possibilities and joy awaiting me, then the universe says, okay, you can have that. And I've watched it happen. I've watched through my clients and students for years, you know, all these people telling me all the reasons why they can't be happy right now. And I'll say, well, that's your belief system in this moment. But what if you opened this door? And then as they did, you know, then something new comes in and their lives turn around. And it's miraculous, because it is the magical mystery that we live as we stay true to that alignment within ourselves. So it becomes effortless.
And it's that, and that's a moment of surrender, to surrender the limiting belief. And we may have nurtured that baby since we were 2 years old, you know?
That's right. It's hard to earn money. It's hard to do this. It's hard.
My sister is smarter than I am, or prettier than I, you know, whatever it may be. And it's like, oh, if we, you know, kind of like Byron Katie's work when she says, well, who would you be if you dropped that belief? You know, right. drop that. And so much is surrender. And it's not, you know, I want to say this too, that, you know, you're living in Mount Shasta. It's a very special place, a very high place. Most of the people that are drawn to live there are not like, you know, your average American, like who's going to be, you know, try to make America great, right? They're doing many different things. So many of the people who are drawn to where you live or do the work we do, who know these things, are kind of fringe people. They're not necessarily, there are plenty of mainstream people who are onto this vibration, but mostly it's people who've been a little off center, right? Yeah. And even sometimes feeling weird. Which comes from the Old English word wired, which means to follow one's destiny. And that when you're a little not quite normal in the culture, it's a good thing. I mean, that's an opinion, all right, but that you're already kind of set apart from being inundated with conditioning, and you have to like gay people and now trans people often have such powerful inner compasses because they had to be able to say, this is who I am, right?
Right.
So, and I want to say that to our listeners, that, you know, don't go for normal, go for real, you know?
That's right. Because whatever you think normal is a mask, and it's something that's going to stifle you. You know, a river can't be less than. You know, we always look at ourselves and judge and say, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this enough, or I'm not, you know, the sun doesn't say I'm not good enough, a river doesn't do it. All the different aspects of God that we see, or spirit in nature and in the universe around us, we don't judge them that way. But when we look at humans, or even animals sometimes, not cute enough, not this, you can't say that about God, and it's an infinite expression. And so when you give yourself permission to just recognize and respect that light and that one infinite force that's informing and breathing and being as all of us, there's no place for judgment. And you go into the place where you say, I don't have to be what anybody else thinks I have to be, because who I am is not only enough, it's magnificent. Like, who are we to even judge ourselves, right? And I get to the place of freedom with that. And I have to balance it too, because I still have my vanity, and I look in the mirror and I'm, you know, and then I have to say, just get out of your own way and get past that pettiness and just be the light you are. That's enough, you know.
I love that you, and I know you'd taken the name Beloved before I met you, but then you took Heart Song. So Beloved Heart Song, and that is its own saying. It's a statement of, you know, who I am. And it's a big statement, right? You know.
Yeah, to live your own beloved heart song is the point, right? To be our own beloveds, to see all life as beloved, and to live our own unique song is important. So carrying the name is a constant reminder of the responsibility I have to myself to be true to that light. Yeah,
that is true. That's so true. Beloved, will you grace our viewers with a little guided meditation or something you were going to offer?
Thank you. I'd like to share something that came through my guidance and meditations years ago, and it's called the Christed Light of Love. And this is not about religion at all. Christed in this sense refers to the highest vibration of love through to the Godhead, whatever you want to call it, universal life force. You can replace Christed with highest, whatever word works for you. But what you do is you imagine, you can close your eyes and you imagine a beautiful day on the ocean, and it's calm and there's a slight warm breeze, and allow as if your heart could be opened like a window you just throw open, and there's no screen, there's nothing in your way, and just feel this balmy breeze blow from the front of your chest all the way through your heart and out the back like an arc. And then from the back behind you, back through. Just let the breeze blow through and clear anything that's misaligned or misqualified in your thoughts, in your field, in your worries, and maybe a relationship with someone that's troubled, or anything that you feel you need help with or that you'd like to let go of, so that you can hold a clearer, peaceful, more balanced energy about yourself. And so what I was shown with this breath and this breeze blowing through the heart, that we do an invocation to shift the energy into a higher vibration. And so what I was shown is to say, I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal. And then as the breeze blows back the other way, I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal me. I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal. I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal me. I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal. I invoke the Christed light of love, please heal me. And as you breathe, you could just sit in silence. You don't have to keep repeating that mantra or invocation, or you can if you like. And just let the breeze blow through you. If you have someone that you would like to do it with, even if they're on the other side of the world, you can imagine them standing in front of you and let that arc of breeze blow through their heart too, and then back through both of your hearts, and just let that keep flowing. And I've had the most amazing shifts in relationships, in situations, just using this. When I would be in tears and feeling like I had no idea how to reconcile or no idea how to shift what was happening, I just surrender and let it go and invoke this energy and trust it. And almost immediately I'd see huge shifts. And the other people didn't have to know at all that I was doing it.
Yeah.
It's something I did within myself.
Right. And yet it does have an effect on them too.
Oh, yeah. And you could do it for a community, right? You could send it to all the people who were victims of a hurricane, or or a place or anywhere.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I never thought to do it like with someone or to, you know, including others, but that's beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. I could
Yeah.
feel it. I was doing it. I was sending it. It's just a
Yeah.
delight to, you know, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe about 10 that we met, right?
At least.
At least 10, maybe 12. And, 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 you know, you are a sister of the soul and heart. And, and I know that the people who are listening to this know what that means. And, you know, reach out. If you meet someone and you really connect, reach out. You could be a lifelong friend, you know, and that person could be across the globe. I had a conversation with a beautiful woman in the Himalayas this morning, right? She's going to be one of our speakers. So it's, you know, very important to connect at this time in that way. And
Yes.
so maybe even do this beautiful meditation with someone that you want to connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, beloved. And I want people to know how to get in touch with you. You've got a couple of ways, more than one way. So I want people to hear that.
Okay, so I have 3 websites. One is lahochi.org for the healing work that I teach. It's LAHOCHI.org. And then I have belovedheartsong.com is my music site. And then openyourhearts.com was my original site that has other things like retreats and the dance and channeling. And yeah, so those are all ways to get to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a multidimensional woman, and I am honored to have you be one of my guests.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being with you. I'm so happy to support your book because it's an amazing, magnificent work that is going to bless the world.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be heading out to Mount Shasta. It won't be before the end of the year, but next year I'll sit on that deck behind you.
Your room is waiting for you.
Thank you so much, sister. Much love to you.
Thank you. Love to you too, and to all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.